McDonald's, a fast food icon, a brand recognisable practically everywhere in the modern world, with branches in over 100 countries. Now, many of these locations are generic and uninteresting, with many of them painting in a boring grey and a bland brown. However, like many things, there are exceptions, and one of these exceptions is the subject of today's video. So, sit back, relax, and grab a snack as we take a look at the Mcbarge.
Do you recognize one of the grandest ships that ever carried the British flag?
It's great to be here for the opening of the Dudley Hippodrome.
A theatrical landmark could disappear if plans to demolish it go ahead.
Had a wonderful war record, sinking 2 enemy submarines and carrying thousands of troops in safety. They called her the Old Reliable.
Picture this, it's the 1986 World Fair in Vancouver. You're working for McDonald's, and you've just been tasked with organising one of the 5 McDonald's restaurants across the roughly 170-acre long site. As you sit there thinking of many ideas on what you could build, you suddenly remember, this is the World Expo of 1986. Important people from all over the world are going to be present, and this is your time to shine. And so, you decide that the only way to go about this is to build something only seen once before. A floating McDonald's. The company tasked with building this marvel of a McDonald's was Robert Allen Limited, and it was going to cost around $8 million, which would make sense considering the barge was going to be made out of good old-fashioned concrete and steel. Something that would make the barge seaworthy for the decades to come. The barge itself was going to be 187 feet long. As for the interior, the Mcbarge would have 2 floors, and on the inside would look very different from your average Mackey's, with wooden floors and more traditional tables, framed art, and even plants. Probably the only thing you had to okay, moving on. The Mcbarge would open on the 2nd of May 1986, when Expo 86 would begin, and boy was it popular, as it practically buried the other McDonald's at Expo 86, and within the few months that it was open, it outperformed every other McDonald's. This success would lead McDonald's to try and find a place to relocate the barge, so it could continue business. Although this would soon prove easier said than done, as a further spanner would be thrown into the works, as in 1991, the area that the Mcbarge was docked in and where Expo 86 was sold, meaning McDonald's had to move the Mcbarge. So good old Ronald McDonald would relocate the barge 7 miles up from where it was originally docked, in the Burrard Inlet. The barge would be sold and stripped of its interiors during the 90s. Then, in 2003, New Line Cinema would rent the barge to be used as a set for the Marvel film Blade Trinity. Remember, there's only one Blade. In this film, the barge would serve as the lair of the Night Stalkers. Ooh! And then after being used in the Blade Trinity, the Mcbarge would be towed back to the Burrard Inlet where it would lie until 2009. As in 2009, the then owner of the Mcbarge would submit planning permission to the Mission City Council to build a waterfront development that would feature the Mcbarge as its centrepiece. However, unfortunately for the Mcbarge, this would ultimately be rejected by the Mission City Council. After this, there would also be a proposal to turn it into a homeless shelter, which would also be rejected for obvious reasons. The barge would continue to remain abandoned at Burrard Inlet until 2015, when it was announced that the Mcbarge would be relocated to the very Canadian-sounding Maple Ridge for a refit. However, nothing would happen until 2017, as it was announced that the Mcbarge was going to be converted into an Ocean Discovery Centre. Ooh. The plan was to crowdfund the conversion. However, the first crowdfunding event would be cancelled due to bad weather. And like many other plans for this odd restaurant, nothing would come of this. Then, in 2020, plans would be announced to convert it into a restaurant. And then in 2021, it was announced that a site for it had been chosen. However, you can probably guess that, once again, nothing happened. And then, in early 2025, it would be reported that the Mcbarge had rolled over onto her side and partially sunk, with attempts to contact its owner being unsuccessful, leaving the fate of this barge bleak. The Mcbarge was an interesting idea for a restaurant that, like many other historical objects as of late, was left to rot until it became near unsalvageable. That being said, we should probably pay close attention to the near in that sentence, as whilst the future of the Mcbarge may currently look really bleak, there's still time to change it. Whether we will, however, is a different question. Thank you all for watching, everybody, and I shall hopefully see you in the next video. Goodbye.